Good afternoon, everyone.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thanks.
I'm John Durham. I'm the United States Attorney for the Eastern District of New York. With me today is Christopher Rea. He's the Assistant Director in charge of New York's FBI. Scott D'Alessandro. He's an Assistant Special Agent in charge of the IRS New York Field Office. And District Attorney Ann Donnelly. I want to thank you all for being here, and I want to thank you for your partnership. So a short time ago in the courthouse behind me, former Congressman George Santos was sentenced to just over 7 years in federal prison. He was also ordered to pay more than $370,000 in restitution and forfeit more than $200,000. And that restitution will go to his victims. Now, 8 months ago, Santos appeared in the same courthouse and he pled guilty. He pled guilty to wire fraud and aggravated identity theft. He admitted to engaging in a brazen crime spree that took place over a period of years. He stole personal identities and financial information of campaign contributors, made unauthorized transfers of money to his campaign and to himself personally. He defrauded prospective political supporters by convincing them to make campaign contributions based on false statements, and then he took the money for himself. He lied to receive unemployment benefits when he was not entitled to them because he had a job. He lied to the Federal Election Commission about the amount of money his campaign had brought in, and he used that to trick the National Republican Congressional Committee into giving his campaign money it was not entitled to. And he lied to Congress on his financial disclosure forms. From the moment he declared his candidacy for Congress, Santos leveraged his campaign for his own and financial benefit. He did this by targeting specific supporters and constituents. He saw them as easy marks, and he made them victims of his fraud. Santos's victims were real people, and they suffered real losses. He went so far as to seek out elderly people who suffered from cognitive impairment and dementia. Santos's blatant corruption is an affront to our electoral process, our representative government, and the people of New York's 3rd Congressional District. But today, and finally, Santos held accountable for his years of fraud, deceit, and theft. He's going to federal prison, and he's going to be punished for his staggering fraud, the abuses he put on our electoral process, for mocking our democratic institutions, and most importantly, for betraying and defrauding his supporters, his voters, his donors, federal agencies, state agencies. Today's sentence demonstrates that this egregious conduct will not and never will be tolerated. Now, Santos has been held accountable thanks to the tireless efforts of prosecutors from the Department of Justice and investigators from the FBI, IRS, and Nassau District Attorney's Office. I want to commend several people in particular. Assistant United States Attorneys Ryan Harris, Anthony Bagnola, and Laura Zuckerwise. Paralegal Specialists Rachel Friedman and Denora Roscoe from this office. Trial Attorney John Taddy from the Department of Justice Public Integrity Section. Special Agents Katrina Lapruta and Ken Hosey, and Intelligence Analyst Julianne Wolf from the FBI. Nassau County District Attorney's Office Detective Investigator Gavin Shea, and IRS Special Agent Samantha Keldek. I'm not done. In conclusion, I want to assure the public and all of you that came out today that your faith in the government and our criminal justice system is warranted. Santos's disgraceful and greedy conduct has been exposed, and at last he's been brought to justice. And that same fate awaits those in public service at any level, state, local, or federal, who abuse their positions, and serve themselves and not the people they represent. Officials who lie and steal and defraud will find themselves in a courtroom, and they will learn, as George Santos has, that there's a serious price to pay for corrupt behavior. No one is above the law. So So with that, I'm going to turn things over to FBI Assistant Director in Charge, Christopher Rea.
Geo Three thanks you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, John. Good afternoon. My name is Christopher Rea. I'm the Assistant Director in Charge of our New York office. Today, former United States Congressman George Santos was held accountable for his repeated criminal dishonesty, financing his election campaign with ill-obtained funds, stealing COVID unemployment benefits, and providing materially false information in his financial disclosure. Santos abused his authority to garner illicit donations and campaign support, ultimately betraying the public's trust and violating our democratic systems. May today's sentencing emphasize the FBI's continued commitment to dismantling any fraudulent scheme designed to unlawfully benefit those in positions of power. Today would not have been possible without the tireless dedication of the FBI New York headquarters city, the Public Corruption Squad, and the squad located right here at our Long Island resident agency. I would also like to thank the Eastern District of New York's acting U.S. Attorney, John Durham, and his prosecutorial team, who did a phenomenal job with this case. Additionally, I want to extend my appreciation to the Department of Justice Public Integrity Section, IRS Criminal Investigative Division, Department of Labor's Office of Inspector General, and the Nassau County District Attorney's Office. The collective efforts across all agencies ensure justice was delivered today. I'll now turn it over to ASAC D'Alessandro from IRS.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Scott D'Alessandro. I am an Assistant Special Agent in Charge with IRS Criminal Investigation here in the New York Field Office. I would like to begin by thanking the U.S. Attorney for the Eastern District of New York, John Durham, for hosting today's press conference and also for overseeing this important investigation through to its conclusion today. I would also like to thank the FBI's New York Field Office as well as the Nassau County District Attorney's Office for their incredible work on this case. Special agents from IRSCI specialize in following the movement of illicit funds. This is exactly what the agent on this investigation did, tirelessly combing through financial records to determine how funds were spent. It became evident that Santos used his position as an elected official and public servant to conduct criminal activity. While U.S. campaign finance laws are designed to promote transparency in our electoral process, Santos willfully participated in a scheme to defraud not just his supporters, but also the United States government. This type of financial fraud is not a victimless crime. The American people, his constituents, his co-members in Congress, as well as his supporters and donors, are all victims in this case. These are individuals that place their trust in Santos to not only represent them, but to utilize their donations in accordance with the law. Santos instead used these donations for his own personal enrichment. Today's sentencing means that Santos will now experience the full cost of his deception. IRS Criminal Investigation will continue to work with our law enforcement partners and the U.S. Attorney's Office to investigate anyone who seeks to defraud or abuse the American financial system or the public for their own gain. While the agents at IRSCI have known since our inception 100 years ago, is that the money trail will not lie. I now pass the podium over to Nassau County District Attorney Ann Donnelly. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. I am Ann Donnelly, the Nassau County District Attorney. I want to thank U.S. Attorney John Durham, the members of the FBI and the IRS who joined with us today. It is because of our continued partnership together, working together, that we were able to get the conclusion today that we did. And what a conclusion it is. George Santos spent his brief career in public service conning donors, misleading his constituents, and defrauding the government. He told lie after lie until it caught up with him, until we caught up with him, and exposed him for what he truly was, an opportunist and a fraud. And come July 25th, George Santos will finally be where he belongs, behind bars, answering for these crimes. George Santos was the polar opposite of what a public servant should be. He is without integrity, unconcerned with his constituents, and self-interested in every way. Designer clothes were more important to him than following the rule of law. Luxury more important to him than the oath he took to serve his country and the people who elected him. He had a responsibility to those people. They counted on him to deliver for them. Instead, they got an empty man in an empty designer suit, financed by fraud. A man who to this day is not truly remorseful for his actions. A man who failed the people of Nassau County, the people who trusted and relied on him. When I announced that I wanted to begin an investigation into George Santos, the Eastern District U.S. Attorney approached me and said they would like to work this investigation together. And we did. And it's that partnership that led us to today. The prosecutors in the U.S. Attorney's Office, the investigators at the FBI and in my office, and the IRS did tremendous work to ensure that George Santos was held accountable for all his lies. Together, we will continue that important work, rooting out public corruption, protecting our communities, and upholding the standard of integrity we expect our elected officials to meet. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, everybody.
All of you have said that you're going to continue
No,
the
no question.
corruption
Thank you, everybody.
May I ask, haven't the
go back.
IRS and the FBI officers been
You can go back.
investigating
Go back to the
Santos
office.
had to serve all 87 months?
I'll take